country, just as everywhere, the electoral management body, in other words, the Electoral Commission, plays such a fundamental and a crucial role in enabling our democracy. In other words, how the EC behaves and conducts their affairs and the mandate that has been given to it can, in one way or the other, undermine our democracy. In the last 2 weeks, I have put out statements saying that, look, I hope that our Electoral Commission would not, through these actions, sort of bring our 30-year democracy to an end. We saw what happened in Gabon after an electoral dispute, where people believed that the EC didn't do what it ought to do in order to ensure fair play. Again, let me highlight the fact that only 2 days ago, a global study was put out, a survey of some 36 countries around the world. And significantly, these countries included Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, and I think Senegal in Africa. Now, the findings for me is quite revealing. Whereas you find almost 75% of persons who are older than, 35 years and above saying, look, we think democracy is the best form of government. When you come to people 18 to 35, the percentage reduces significantly to just about 52%. In other words, young people on the continent are increasingly losing hope in democracy. And in this particular voter registration process that we are talking about, we are predominantly talking about young people who just turned 18 and above, and perhaps a few others who were 18 as at the last registration exercise and yet couldn't register. The question to ask is, why do we want to put a price on the fundamental exercise of civic rights to vote? Why must people endure the pain and the price to be able to register? Why should we make people's willingness to participate in the democratic processes so painful, so difficult, and so expensive? I honestly believe that if Madame Jean Mensa was still in the civil society space, leading IEA as she was before her appointment to become the EC chair, I'm sure, and I have no doubt, she would have perhaps been our chief spokesperson on this matter of condemning what the Electoral Commission is doing as something that really undermines the democracy that we are growing. Because invariably, we are just making it so difficult and so expensive for people to get involved in our democratic processes. And again, over the period, one of the things that people have highlighted is the whole loss of confidence and trust in our public institutions. How do you build trust with this kind of conduct that the EC is putting out? Why would the Electoral Commission, which is a national institution, basically refuse to listen to everyone, perhaps apart from the governing party?
You don't know what the EC knows. If it says it is capable of registering the estimated 1.4 million Ghanaians within the 2 weeks, what's your problem? 3 weeks, what's your problem?
Well, so if they say so, are they talking about the capacity of their machines? Are they talking about the number of staff they have? Or they are talking about being able to bring the folks who have to register from Hwehwe to Mimpasem to the villages of Nakpanduri and Bunkugu Yoyo to the district capitals? If the arrangement was such that the EC is saying, look, for every community, we are providing buses across the country so that those who are eligible to register and those who would have to accompany people to go and guarantee for them can have free buses to and then back to their communities, perhaps we would have said, okay, the burden is a bit lessened. But
the political parties are always interested, and they would always bus people. So the EC says, why not? Assist us, bus your people in. And people also in this country need one form of identification card or the other for some purposes. If you are spending, say, 500 Ghana to get an identification card, what's the problem?
Well, that's the problem. The first problem is that is if you have the 500 Ghana cedis.
I meant 50 Ghana, not 500. That's too much.
50 Ghana. That is if you have it, Samson. That is if you have it. And if you don't have it, what is the price to pay? The price to pay is that you are excluded from the processes of voting. Look, from the ECOWAS level to the EU level to the AU level, there are ongoing efforts to ensure the inclusion of young people in Africa's democratic processes.
Why don't you wait? Why don't you wait to the end if the EC has not been able to cover all that need to be on the roll to complain?
Well, that is on the basis of the assumption that we know the total number of people who are eligible to register. We don't know. We can basically estimate and look at, okay, over the last 2 years, we estimate that we'll get this number of. But something, assuming it is even possible for them to get the numbers, we are talking about the pain that people would have to go through to be able to get their names onto the voters register. I don't think that this is the way to build our democracy. I don't think this is the way to get credibility and public trust that the EC so much requires and desires. I don't think this is the way to build on the progress that we have made. And the earlier the EC started listening to people and listening to voices of conscience, the better for all of us as a country.
Right.